Welcome to Detroit. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes. I will beat your ass. You can drown them. And that's what we gotta be. That's who we have to be. Because that's our domain. That is our domain. Because we'll tread water as long as it takes to fucking bury you.
Takes the snap, turns, gives to Montgomery, right side, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions! Yes.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello everybody, and welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and as always, we're diving on in. So to all my Lions friends, fans, and family members, if there's one thing that we know about the Lions, if there's one thing that has been a consistent trend from year to year to year, it has been the fact that Brad Holmes is a guy that, how do I put this? He's a guy that when everybody else is playing checkers, he plays chess. This is a guy that quite literally is 2 or 3 moves in front of most other people. This is just like, again, kind of like my thumbnail image states, this guy's a puppet master. This guy knows how to play others better than just about almost anybody else. And when it comes to this episode, I'm going to be honest, I had a completely different idea and direction for how this episode was going to go. But when I started getting more in depth with the research and I started taking a look at numbers and the numbers started standing out in front of me, I was like, I am now starting to see how just damn cunningly good Brad Holmes is at what he does. Like, dude, this is like some sneaky next level crap. Because I'm telling you this right now, when everybody thinks about Brad Holmes, they all obviously know, oh, you know what, this guy's a great GM, he's a great drafter, he knows how to find good talent at great prices, he's able to build, and he's able to acquire, and he doesn't necessarily spend a whole hell of a lot. Which, that in of itself is already a great thing to have on your resume if you're a GM. But the thing about Brad Holmes that makes it so fun to watch him do what he does is that this is a guy that just quite literally just makes other people look like they're standing still while he's running like the damn Flash. And for me, when I started looking more at the data and I started taking a look at what the Lions have actually acquired, what the Lions have actually got coming up, I'm just like, dude, it kind of was just like a euphoria moment. It was just like, oh, eureka, this makes now 100% total sense. Because let's think about it, folks. We got the upcoming season. It's getting here pretty damn quickly. Like, we're going to be there in like the next 2.5, almost 3 months. And I'm telling you this right now, if there's one thing Lions fans are looking forward to seeing in this upcoming season, I mean, other than the fact of going to the Super Bowl, winning our first one, there are a couple of things that Lions fans are definitely looking forward to. Obviously, one thing they're looking forward to is to see, okay, how are these players that we've acquired, or how are they going to play? How are they going to perform in the Honolulu Blue and Silver? I'm talking about guys like, DJ Reed, Isaac Tesla, Tyleik Williams, Tate Ratledge, Ahmed Hazanin. Those are the guys that I'm specifically talking about. Everybody is really particularly curious to be like, okay, we got all these guys that everybody's talking about. Everybody's looking at these guys, and it's like, what exactly can we expect from them? What exactly are we going to see? That's one thing. But when you start getting into a more specific element of it, rather than just, individual players, and you start looking at a specific unit, I'm telling you this right now, one unit that everybody is particularly, and I do mean this, particularly interested to see how they're going to play is the defense. Best way I can describe the defense over the last couple of years is it's been a slow developing bonsai tree. It's been getting there, but it hasn't quite gotten there yet. Last year it was like, okay, we are really damn close to actually seeing the full explicit beauty of this bonsai tree of a defense in its bloom. And we've been pruning it, we've been growing it, we've been getting it in its place for the last couple of years, but it's my convinced belief that the defense is now going to bloom with this absolutely beautiful yet terrifying radiance that is going to shake the NFL to its very core. Now, some might think I'm off my rocker a little bit because of the fact, we have a new defensive coordinator, and that defensive coordinator has no experience calling plays. But again, I keep trying to point this out as much as possible because people have a tendency to not listen worth a damn when I do bring stuff up. Kelvin Shepard is a guy that even though he's never called plays before, if you go back and you have paid attention to what has been said over the last couple of months, this is a guy that underneath Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn has been getting direct mentorship, direct tutelage on how to become the new defensive coordinator. And on top of that, this was a guy that quite literally was calling plays on the sideline. He wasn't sending them in, but he was calling them before Aaron Glenn would then officially call them and send them in. So this is a guy that quite clearly is shown that he's ready for the job. Now, I will also say this. Not only do I have the utmost confidence in Shepard's ability to call plays effectively, but I have the utmost confidence that this is a guy who is going to continue the style of defense we saw last year. And when I mean style of defense, I mean simply this. We're going all out after you. We are going to be aggressive. We are going to come after you with a all hellfire vengeance. And when you take a look at this defense, what truly excites me about this defense, going back to Brad Holmes and him being a puppet master, is that there is some untapped potential in this defense that has clearly yet to show itself fully. And that comes not only from what we got this year, but also from stuff that we have been developing, pruning, like I've said with that bonsai tree, over the last couple of years. And think about it. Like I said, this tree that I'm talking about, this bonsai tree, is not fully developed yet. But think about this. This was a top 10 defense last year. And that was while this defense was dealing with an extreme handicap and having not all of its strength out on the field. So I'm telling you this right now. If you're a Lions fan and you're thinking about all this, you should be excited as hell. Because let's think about this. When you break down the defense and you break it down into the three major units, which is obviously the line, the linebackers, and the secondary, there is something in every single one of those units within that overall unit that is exciting. Let's talk about the defensive line, which I'm going to tell you right now. The defensive line that we've got right now, I'm going to call them the fearsome foursome. Because when you take a look across that defensive line unit, and you take a look at what Brad Holmes has plugged in and put into place and has had developed and grown over the last couple of years and is now bringing in other stuff, I'm telling you this right now, this is going to be a fearsome unit. It is going to be a destructive unit. Because let's just take a look at what we have as far as defensive ends and defensive tackles. When you take a look at defensive ends, we have Hutch. I might be a bit premature in this, but I'm saying this right now. It's going to happen. We're going to get Za'Darius back. We have Ahmed Hazanin. We have Davenport. We also have Levi, who can play both defensive end and defensive tackle. Pascal's the same way. We also have Muhammad, and we have Ukwu. That's a pretty damn stacked group of defensive end rushers. That's also got guys that can also move into the defensive interior. Hutch can also do the same thing, but it's like, listen, let him just stay out on the edge and just cause havoc wherever he go. Then we take a look at the defensive interior. You got DJ Reader. You got Tyleik Williams. You got Ali McNeil. Again, like I said, Levi and Pascal. You've got Martin. You've got Wingo. You've got Lopez. I mean, dude, when you take a look at the whole body of guys that we have on that defensive line, it is a stacked damn unit. And when you think about it, the one thing about this defense that Lions fans have been waiting in absolute just, it seems like forever, is that, hey, we want to see this defensive line be able to impact the quarterback more. And what I mean by that specifically is we want to see them get after the quarterback. We want to see them sack the quarterback. Yes, you know what? The sacks have not always been there, but the one thing that the Lions have been really good at doing has been able to pressure the ever-living hell out of a quarterback, make him uncomfortable. A lot of Lions fans are saying, okay, keep the uncomfortable level, but let's amplify actually getting after the quarterback. Let's combine uncomfortable with pain. Let's combine pressure with sacks. Let's get both of them. Let's have the best of both worlds. And when you take a look at this unit that we've got for a defensive line, dude, you have everything you need. And yes, when Za'Darius gets here, it's going to be even further what you need. So for me, that's one element of this defensive line unit. But the other thing about the defensive line that Lions fans really, really want is they not only want a line that can, impact the quarterback by sacking him and continually pressuring him, but they also want a defensive line that can also stop or mitigate the damage from mobile quarterbacks. Because again, it's one thing to get sacks on quarterbacks that are not necessarily known for running or only run once in a great while. But the ability to get after quarterbacks like, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, those types of guys that have a higher tendency to take off and run, that is something that I also know Lions fans are wanting. They want to be able to see us be able to shut that down. And I'm telling you, with the guys that I just talked about, that is possible. And when you consider all the names that the Lions have, they absolutely have a devastating array of talent that Brad Holmes has acquired and has built up over the years in which to wreak havoc on an offensive line and likewise the quarterback. The best part of this whole situation is, again, how I said how interchangeable these players are. You can plug them into multiple positions. You can have them all over the defensive line. You can bring pressure. You can bring different types of defensive fronts from multiple different areas. It's so interchangeable, it's literally perfect. Because you have guys who can literally play in the 1 technique, the 2 technique, all the way down to the 9 wide technique. You have guys that can play in multiple areas. And for me, what amplifies that devastating, destructive effect is also the fact that with all those guys that we have, it's a constant rotation of fresh bodies. And you have multiple angles from attack. And again, that's something that the Lions are going to be able to use. But when you talk about the defensive line, particularly in this case, the edge rushers, you are talking about guys that primarily the ones that were able to play last year. I'm not saying that how do I put this? I'm not saying that because of other guys have not played well. I'm just saying based upon what happened last year. Because I'm going to bring you guys four main names. That's Hutch, Za'Darius, Muhammad, and Hazanin. When you take a look at those 4 names, and you take a look at how they played last year in terms of pass rush win rate, you are going to notice something very, very damn interesting and very promising. Take a look at it as I put it up on the screen. For the 2024 season, when you take a look at the analytics for both the NCAA for Hazanin and the NFL for the other 3 guys, Muhammad, Za'Darius, and Hutch, take a look at this. Hutch had the number 1 pass rush win rate last year of 38.3%. Ungodly number. Za'Darius, top 10, ranked 8th at 18.7%. Muhammad was at 13.8%, tied 32nd. This is a guy that last year, nobody really knew anything about him. But clearly, when we had lost guys to injury, this guy stepped in and he played at a pretty damn good level. And then when you take a look at Hazanin, who's coming out of college, last year, even though he was drafted in the 6th round, this guy had a 16.8 pass rush win rate percentage, which was tied for 22nd best in the entire NCAA. Think about that. Every single guy, whether it was in the NFL or in the NCAA, was a top 35 player. And when you consider how many damn edge rushers there are between the NFL and NCAA, and then how few of them are actually as good as these guys are, that ought to make you absolutely damn excited. And again, think about it. Nobody was thinking about Hazanin really before we had drafted him, but the guy is a damn beast. He is an awesome player. Nobody was really thinking about Muhammad before we got him, but as soon as he stepped out on the field, this is a guy that clearly made an impact. And then Hutch and Za'Darius, 2 big-time names, and getting back Za'Darius, dude, you add that to all these other guys that we have, you have a damn prolific, just absolutely devastating, edge rushing capability. And each of these guys have shown they can make an impact, and that's not even including Marcus Davenport. And again, I still have hope for Davenport in the sense that, okay, if this guy can just stay decently healthy, I'm not expecting a full season. If he gets a full season, I'll be as happy as a clam. But here's what I will tell you. When Davenport is healthy, that guy is definitely impactful. So it's like, okay, if you get a healthy Davenport, you plug him in with all these other guys that I just mentioned, this is a defensive edge rotation that is going to cause problems. And then when you jump from the defensive ends or the edge rushers and then you jump over to the defensive tackles, you're going to notice this. Take a look at the primary guys we're going to have for our starters this year. We have McNeil, we have Reeder, we have Levi, we have Williams. Because those are primarily going to be the guys that are going to be in the middle. You might also see Pascal and a couple other guys fit in there, but those are going to be the guys you're primarily going to see in the middle, I'd be willing to bet. I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Take a look at these numbers. When you take a look at McNeil, this is a guy that is solid virtually across the board. His run stop percentage is a little on the low side, but it's still the second best out of the entire group. You take a look at Reeder, you're starting to see that the age is starting to catch up with him. His numbers, his rankings, they aren't as good as what they've been in the past. And then you take a look at Levi. Levi is very, very close in terms of, being able to say that, hey, his numbers, his rankings, they're pretty similar to where McNeil's are at. Now, again, Levi's played a lot less. We haven't seen as much from Levi. But this is a guy that last year showed that, okay, if he can stay healthy, he can stay consistent. This is a guy that we definitely want to keep. And then you take a look at Tyleik Williams. The thing with Tyleik Williams is everybody already knows this guy's not a pass rusher, but he has a pass rushing element to his game. It just doesn't show up all that often. But his run defense, best on the entire defensive line unit that we have. And that's, again, I understand, coming from the NCAA, but typically, guys that come from the NCAA that are as good as what he had, it will translate pretty well. Now, this is where I'm going to start talking about the real cunning of Brad Holmes here. Because just think about this. You take a look at the four guys that we just had that are on the defensive interior, and then you take a look at what we had on the defensive edge with Hazanin and Hutch and Za'Darius and also Muhammad, and then of course Davenport, who I didn't put in there because, well, we didn't have anything from last year, but we know what he can provide when he's healthy. The cunning there is that you can literally, if you pay attention to them numbers like I just put up there, you can see the chess moves that Holmes has been doing to set up not only the Lions for this year, but also for the upcoming years. Because take a look at this. When you take a look back at that diagram that I had with the four defensive interior linemen, you literally have Tyleik Williams is 100% going to be the replacement for DJ Reeder. He can get better at pass rushing, but Tyleik Williams is such a damn powerful run stopper in the middle that he will definitely be able to take over for DJ Reeder. Well, think about it. Nobody was thinking about Tyleik Williams when we drafted him in the first round. But what was Brad Holmes doing? He was setting up a move that's not only going to help us out on the interior in stopping not only the running backs, but also potentially any quarterbacks from trying to escape up the middle, which I know a lot of Lions fans would particularly not like to see this year. But at the same time, everybody who's been trying to, kind of write off Levi Onwuzurike for dead over the last couple of years, Levi Onwuzurike, if he can show that he can stay healthy like he did last year and can continue to improve and show what he was when we drafted him in the second round, you've now got a guy that you compare with McNeil, who is not only good both in pass rush, but also in terms of run defense. Then you are going to have a monstrous middle of McNeil, Levi, and Williams. All of them can do things very, very well. McNeil and Levi are good at both things, but Williams is excellent as a run defender. All of that is just by setting things up, by just playing the draft and saying, hey, based upon what I did last year, based upon what my players did last year, I'm going to continue to build upon what I've already got and set up pieces and plays for going into the future, but also still helping out for this year. The same thing is true for the defensive end room, the defensive edges. Because think about this. Ahmed Hazanin, yes, he's a 6th round draft pick. But if you take a look at how well he performed in college, he has the same kind of ability that Za'Darius Smith has right now. He has the same build. He's only an inch shorter, but he's the same damn weight. This guy has a very high pass rush win rate, just like freaking Za'Darius Smith does. And again, let's consider ourselves here. Oh, that's right. This guy's being coached by Casey, who is one of the best defensive linemen in terms of coaches in the NFL. He's going to be tutored by Hutch. He's going to be mentored by him. And then again, once you bring in Za'Darius again, he's also going to get that as well. You want to talk about getting an extreme leg up on other defensive edge rushers due to all the resources he's going to have to get himself even better much more quickly. But then on top of that, just the sheer amount of energy and passion and desire that he has to get better himself. Again, I've talked about it before. Hazanin is like a AA freaking Energizer Bunny battery. This guy has no quit. So it's like, okay, just from the defensive line group, you can already see how Brad Holmes has been setting up pieces, playing chess master, playing puppet master with the NFL, and it's like everybody's like, well, what the thunder is Brad Holmes doing with some of these picks? And it's like, if you actually step back and you take a look, you can clearly see what he's doing. He is playing the NFL for fools. And it's not just the defensive line group, it's also the linebacking core. Think about this. Everybody wants to talk about Alex Anzalone and about the fact of his contract and all that, and it's like, you know what? Alex Anzalone deserves to get himself a better deal, and Alex Anzalone is a really good linebacker. But think about this. Go back to the 2023 draft. When we drafted Jack Campbell, there were a lot of people that had their eyebrows pop and thought that freaking Brad Holmes was off his damn rocker drafting him at pick 18. Especially Braylon Edwards from freaking, Woodward Sports. Much like how Braylon Edwards wanted to also say about Aiden Hutchinson that he wasn't even the best edge rusher for U of M when he was coming out of college. He wanted to give that to, I can't even remember what his name is, because what has that guy been doing since he's gotten into the NFL? Oh, that's right, not anywhere close to what Aiden Hutchinson has been doing. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. What I'm trying to say here is this. When we drafted Jack Campbell, there were people that were like, what is Brad Holmes doing? But yet, take a look at the numbers. When you take a look at how Jack Campbell performed last year and you take a look at how Alex Anzalone played last year, you get a very interesting picture. Take a look at Jack Campbell. His defensive grade out of all linebackers was tied 4th. His run defense grade was ranked 7th. His stop percentage for running defense was ranked 3rd. His missed tackle percentage was tied 11th. His average depth of target on pass coverage was tied 12th. And his coverage grade was ranked 7th. Dude, that's a guy that is an all-around great linebacker. All-around great linebacker. And then when you flip over to Alex Anzalone is still a damn good linebacker. Like I said, he does deserve to get a bit of a pay raise. And again, but when you take a look at his numbers in comparison to Campbell's numbers, they are a little bit lower, but they're still pretty damn good. Again, the defensive grade is ranked 22nd, so it's definitely lower than Jack Campbell, but it's still pretty damn high. The forced incompletion percentage on coverage is tied 4th with 9%. The passer rating that he gave up in coverage, again, to kind of exemplify what was going on with Jack Campbell and how his coverage grade was so great, his rating was a 99.3, which was ranked for 16th out of all linebackers. His pass missed tackle percentage was tied for 4th. So in pass coverage, Alex Anzalone's great. And again, the completion percentage tied 8th out of all linebackers. His coverage grade ranked 5th. So what you can clearly see there is that Alex Anzalone is a good linebacker. He's really good at what he does. But there are certain elements of Anzalone's game that could stand to get a little bit better. But at this point in his career, he's not going to get any better. He's pretty much reached his prime. He's reached his peak. Whereas Jack Campbell, he is just about to hit his prime. He hasn't even hit his peak yet, not even close. He's just getting into his prime. And again, think about this. That's not even including Derek Barnes, who we're getting back. That's not even including Rodrigo, who we're expecting to get back later in the year. So again, the cunning, the absolutely just nasty ability that Brad Holmes has been able to exemplify over the last couple of years, it's all been building itself to this exact moment where it's like, hey, all these pieces that we've been investing in, the growing, the pruning of that bonsai tree, it is about to come to full bloom. And again, we're only talking about the defense here. We're not talking about the offense. Because then again, let's move to the last part of the defense, which is, oh, that's right, the defensive secondary. Again, take a look at the defensive secondary and the pieces that we have there. Reed, Robertson, Branch, Joseph, Arnold. Again, you're going to see another similar pattern here. We picked up Robertson last year. Robertson did very well for us, especially in the slot and in the nickel, but also out on the outside. DJ Reed has been one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL for the last couple of years. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, the best safety combo in the NFL. I mean, it's not even a debate. It's not even a contest. And then, obviously, I know there's still people that have their doubts about Terry and Arnold, but it's like, listen, Terry and Arnold over the second half of the season last year definitely started to show what he could be. And again, even some of his statistics and the analytics from last year show that, hey, yeah, he had a bit of a rough year as a rookie, which for cornerbacks, it typically is the case. But there is definitely a lot of promise there. There's definitely a lot of upside there. So yes, there is a lot of stuff that's going on right now that is showing all of that growth. It's showing all of that patience. It's showing all of that development is getting ready to absolutely burst onto the scene. And what I'm trying to get people to understand here in this episode is that, yes, that is the players, applying themselves, staying consistent to the process, and making sure they're constantly developing their craft. But again, it's Brad Holmes being the kind of puppet master he is with the NFL. The NFL has taken a look at some of the guys that Brad Holmes has selected, and they're like, why would you select this guy when there are other guys that would make a much better move for the immediate things that you need? But yet it's like, when you take a look at everything that Brad Holmes has been doing, it's like Brad Holmes has been sitting back, like a puppet master, just playing the strings of the NFL, and now the NFL is getting ready to be played for fools. Because the NFL has been like, dude, sometimes we don't understand what Brad Holmes is doing. Oh, you're about to understand. It is about to become abundantly clear just how cunningly sneaky Brad Holmes has been and how it is going to come back and bite the NFL in the ass in the worst way possible. I'm telling you, folks, it's coming. But anyway, I just want to talk about this because as soon as I started taking a look at the data, I was like, oh, this is just awesome. And like I said, I had a completely different, narrative for how this whole concept of an idea was supposed to go for an episode, but this is what I got. I like what I have here as far as, this whole concept of Brad Holmes again playing the NFL for fools. So you guys do with it what you will. Again, all I ask you to be respectful. But having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching in another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage y'all to watch the next one. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things. Like, comment, and subscribe. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, I want to highly encourage y'all, please, make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content that I push out. Also, please share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Again, we're so close to 10,000 subscribers. Let's keep it going. And with that, I hope y'all enjoyed this content. I hope it was enlightening for y'all. That's exactly what I try to do with every single piece of content that I make. Hope everyone has something in their life that makes them happy, makes them smile. God bless, my friends. And until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.